So this is something I've been working on just lately, and it's not finished. It's just I put up the things that I had in mind, and probably there will be others. I can add this and I can change it, and I would recommend to all of you to work on, like I said in the beginning, to work on your own book. And it can be scribbled the way that only you can read it, but it helps you clarify what you put into context when, for instance, talking about coaching the body position. So I've put something about that. Something I just called it football movement, which is like probably not good English even, but moving, how to move on the pitch, how to create an overload, how to instigate overlaps, how to instigate wall play, use of space, systematic observation about spatial awareness, what do you coach the players, what to look for, coaching the switch of play, and then to give your players some mantras, which I think is interesting. So we'll just go ahead. Blue and yellow teams in the explanations. Attacking direction always up. Firm line is the ball movement, and the dotted line is the player movement. Here, if you are the receiving player, the player marked number 10 in this slide, I want you to think, where do I play if I get the ball? If number 8 passes me, what is my goal? And as you see here, and like I told earlier, I want players to search for penetrating opponent as often as possible. And that has to be an understanding in the team, and it's probably quite logical, and it applies to most teams, that the number 8, if he's prevented from playing forward himself, he would look from help from another midfielder to play, to penetrate. And in this case, looking inside for the number 10. And what I want the number 10 to do then is to keep this space open, not to put himself in the middle of the gap, because then he's already taken up half of the space he has available. So keep this space open and stay close to the opponent on his right hand side, in order to keep that corridor open as big as possible. And then, of course, what speed, what angle, and when do I invite for the ball? What part of my space do I need for ball handling? I already said that. Try to keep it open as much as possible, and angle your body so that the number 8 see what foot you want the ball on. And then for the ball holder, has he shown me, if I'm number 8, has he shown me, has he looked up? Can I see that he's been putting, that he's been checking where number 9 is? So that, has he told me what he wants to do with the ball, or has he been looking for the number 6 or even the number 4 or 5, so that I know if I give him the ball, he will probably play one of the defenders? Or has he been checking upfield? Because that depends on how I give him the ball and where I give him the ball. And of course, to what feet, according to what I expect that he will do with it. And of course, the speed of the ball. And I think on top level, you see that how hard they kick the pass is also a part of the language. It's also a part of what they want you to do with the ball, whether they kick it really hard or even slow. So you have to move towards the ball to get it, and that is also a part of language, a part of speaking from the guy who gave the ball. And then what I told about this, probably not good English, but how you move on the pitch, and if you move or if you stand still, because we have to acknowledge that moving itself in itself is not always the solution. Maybe even not to move is in some points, especially if we talk about the central midfielder, not to move can also be a signal and an intention. Here, when you want the ball, I coach my players to quicken their movement very often, and to move 3 steps in one direction, to turn and then invite, and to be sharp in those movements, because the sharper they are, the more the opponent have to act to close angles and spaces, of course. But if we use an example here as the number 5 wanting to reach the number 9, which should be a part of our philosophy. If we want to attack fast, we want to penetrate, we want to play through the opponent's midfield. And then let's say that the goal of the number 5 is to reach number 9, then this has this affects how the number 6 moves. And if he moves towards the lower arrow, he will close that corridor, which probably would not benefit us. Of course, then he could get the ball himself, but if the number 5 can play a straight pass on the ground to number 9, then that would be even better for us. And then he could move towards the upper arrow, where he could support the number 9 immediately when the ball passes and the ball goes through. So again, this has to be affected by what we want as a team, and I find it really interesting to coach individually, like for instance the number 6 in this position. What do you do and how that affects the choices of others? Yeah, you see the text yourself. How can I read what my teammate is going to do? And it's very often taking notice of where he is looking. Look at his vision. What did he observe right now? Because if you know what he observed, then also you know what his options are in his head. And then how can I create spaces that I can use myself or a teammate can use? Okay, creating basic overloads. If you see the ball holder here, I think a less schooled player could take the ball and challenge the gap between the 2 yellow defenders, which then would be like creating a 2v2. But instead, putting emphasis on isolating one defender, going at him, and doing that properly, so that the players around you see what your intentions are. You isolate one opponent in order to create a 2v1 against him. And that is something that needs to be learned at a young age, of course. And these details, at least in Scandinavian football, are not at all put enough emphasis on, and I recommend all coaches to get to a detail level where all these things are clear and are taught. Force the defender to make his first choice. Make a move, take one step forward, then you make your decision to dribble or pass. And even if we talk about the basic 2v1 for youth players, children, we have to put emphasis on not only a 2v1 is to play the pass, it's actually not to play the pass as well. The 2v1 creates the opportunity to dribble as well, because it's either when you challenge the opponent, either you play a pass or you dribble, and there is nothing wrong or right about one or the other. It's about finding the right moment. Receiving player, the guy on the outside, go as close as possible to the defender because it gives you a better angle to break through instead of like opening more space than you actually need. And then attack the space at the right time. And in this case, it's a matter of not being offside, of course, in this particular situation. Some exercises. If we look at the left one, I call it the 2v1 plus 1. You start from halfway line with two blue players attacking. We have made a corridor at the width of the circle. So the 2v1 against the one yellow there have to penetrate through that corridor. When they get into the box, we play in the full goal area. So, but the penetration has to be between the cones in that zone. And then at the impact of the pass from the coach, one defender is starting also from halfway line. So the 2v1 will last only as far as you keep the speed up. Otherwise, you will be passed by the last defender, and it will be a 2v2. But it's important that you coach for players to overlap and shift positions. What happens when the receiving player takes the first touch out wide? What do you do then as the second attacker? And if he takes the first touch in, that's maybe an invitation for the second attacker to cross behind him and overlap. And here I do, like, for instance, two halves of 10 or 12 or 15 attacks each, and I count the score. Offside is, of course, part of it. So I usually stand down there at the point where they break through, and then I count the score, and it creates a winner in the end. And the defenders, when you defend from box line one action, then you go behind line on halfway line in the next, so you change every second time from box line and from halfway line. On the session to the right, I put up a double 16-meter area. We play with the halfway line. If we see the blue team here is starting the attack, they play the first pass to their striker, who is based out there when the attack starts. He is based out there on the halfway line, and he cannot take the first touch and go directly and score. He has to combine once with the two players coming. So attack starts when your striker is engaged, and from there they play 3v2. If the 2 wins the ball in play, then the attacker has to move out immediately. He cannot defend, and then the opposite attacker, the yellow one, can engage. So that, and then it switches at the same moment. It switches to a 3v2 the other way. But every second attack starts from each side, and you also keep the score running, even with new players always coming in. And then I play, for instance, 5 or 6 minute period, and then I change the fixed striker so that other players get to try the same role. Wingers and strikers mostly. Okay. Creating overlaps. First, the basic overlap, often determined by the first touch of the receiving player. Here, the wide player gets a cross from the center back. He moves inside, which opens space for the fullback to come around, and then brings the ball in and plays it out again. Basic overlap. All about ball handling, of course, and space and time. Very easy, so I'll just go further. Then overlap with the third man involvement. Same again. Wide player receiving ball, bringing it in. Then one player in central can be a striker, or can be, in this case it's a striker, can be a midfielder as well, showing up for the one-touch solution to use the overlap. Often more effective because the ball holder don't have to observe exactly where the overlapping player is, but take use of a third man who sees the situation, has the view of the situation, and just play the one touch into the space to the overlapper. Yeah, easy. And then details around how to create wall play. First, I asked them exactly what a wall play is, and sometimes they haven't reflected even on that, you are a wall, which means the ball bounces off you on one touch. So then it's not a wall play if you keep the ball and then play it. Maybe a triangle, but not wall play. Ball holder again, just like the 2v1, challenging first one opponent. So you make an invitation for wall with the ball. And then eye contact with the teammate. Don't play the ball too early. And for the wall player, the teammate show up at the right time when he has started to challenge one player. Go as close to the opponent as possible. Angle your body to show intent. You cannot play wall if you come straight at him. You have to angle your body so that you can use one touch. Play it on the correct foot. Measure the speed and the angle. And as a receiving player, shape your body to protect from tackling from the guy behind you. It's about your center of gravity, about how you keep your arms. You make it harder for an opponent to body check you. Simple solution how to practice wall play. Start on the box line with the ball. Play one of the guys behind. Let him come, and then position yourself around the defender and angle your body for wall play. Here, simple up back through. Speaking to players, what is the difference between playing D directly on the space and then playing an up back through? And of course, you have the risk management, whether it's possible to reach a guy directly in the space behind them. If they operate well in defense, it will be harder, of course. And also getting players aware that when you play B, you will uphold the line of the opponent, at least the guy in his back. And that makes the chance to have a bigger space to break into a lot better. So the safer way to actually have some space to break into is to do it partly and not directly. So it's self-instructing. B has to have connection with C, of course, to show up in support at the right time, not too early, not standing there when he receives the ball, but arriving at the right time so you can use the space. And then, of course, D as a third man, recognizing that if I sprint now, I will break through on the line at the exactly right timing. Yeah. Here, playing 3v3 with the joker, putting emphasis on the up back through movement and making sure you have enough space so there is actually some space to do it. So a little bit more than double box.
Oh, fuck. First skill. Fuck. Yeah.
What happened? Excuse me? Are you there, Utkarsh?
Yeah, I'm here. I think someone just slipped them
happened.
off.
Okay.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, here it's about helping players systematize what they in what order they search. And here the example, we have the ball on the left fullback. We have a central midfielder, and trying to systematize what spaces he need to be monitoring. If you go, yeah, there is a YouTube clip. I don't know. I will see if I can reach it from here, down there on the bottom of the page. We've seen examples that the best players in the world, they make 60 searches a minute, which means they check something per second. Every second they are checking, which is impressive when you see the YouTube clip. And then, of course, attacking direction, what is happening in front, how can we penetrate? If I get the ball now, how can we penetrate? And then the area number 2, if I'm closed down, where are my supporting players? How can I solve the situation without losing the ball? And then again, am I able to switch play? What is happening to my right, the area number 3? And probably the easiest area will be the number 4, but also maybe the lesser attractive one. So helping them making a priority on what to look for and in what order, where to put emphasis on your observations. In Norway, we always speak about Martin Ødegaard, the Real Madrid player who now went to Arsenal, because mostly because his father is a coach, and we've seen examples on how they worked on that from when he was 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, and it's probably his strongest point is his ability to observe and to play passes that can punish the opponent. What happens if I go there? Didn't happen. Okay, I will share the slides with Utkarsh, and then you can go and look this up to this address if you want. Switch of play, how to instigate concentration on one side and people preparing to switch, and that's again a team effort. Everybody understand what we are actually doing now. We are keeping the ball here, maybe from the number 3 to 7 and back, and to 8 and back, and then number 5 showing up for support, not too early, not standing there, because then he will attract pressure. But then after we have moved the opponent over to one side, then show up for support and then switch it. Again, then for the number 5, angle your body in order to switch the play even before you touch the ball. So not saying you should do it on one touch, but you should be in position to give yourself a nice first touch and a good angle for the kick. Details, which is important. And then at the end, I've called it mantras. I don't know if it works in English, but something that goes on in your head all the time when you're playing. I use this for younger players especially, to ask yourself all the time, and for instance, when you play rondos, if I get the ball now, where do I play? So always try to be one pass ahead in your head. If I get it now, what do I do with it? See solutions, make connections with third man even before touching the ball. And then another one is just see the ball. And that means if I see the ball, then there is no one between me and my teammate with the ball, which is a sign of a passing channel being open. So if I can't see the ball, meaning there are legs in between, there are arms or bodies in between, then I'm not in the correct position. So that should also be a mantra, that I need to see the ball, which tells me then I'm available. And to get them to work on this in the rondos, that they want the ball all the time. So see the ball means that I'm open and I can have it. At the same time, if I get it, where do I play? This is things that I work on with, let's say, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds. There's no limit to how good you can be, of course, in that aspect. Okay, that's it for me, guys.